and I never knew. I never found out that's what was going on. And there was a lot of clues along the way in my symptoms, in the escalation of my symptoms, and in the types of things that caused further injury. Hi, my name is Rachel, and for those of you who don't know me, I've been living with symptoms from cranial, cervical, and atlantal axle instability for 16 years now. My original injury was the result of a motor vehicle accident. So I was rear-ended, knocked into the car in front of me, and knocked unconscious. The thing about my story is that I saw a lot of specialists from the get-go. I was diagnosed with things like traumatic thoracic outlet, vertebral artery issues, vestibular injury, so damage to my inner ear bones. I was diagnosed with visual problems, persistent concussion, so I had a ton of baseline symptoms. It left me with a lot of disability, visual, balance, cognition, and a lot of dysautonomia, so problems with my autonomic function. So that can be heart, that can be your GI, sleep, just your basic function. Not only did I see a lot of specialists who did a lot of exams and we came up with some diagnosis and some treatment plans, I also followed through with the therapies. I not only went and did my therapies regularly week after week for years, I also did my home care plan. So I was very regimented about those exercises, the diet, the exercise, the nutrition, sleep, stress, caffeine, no alcohol. Like, I was doing everything I could to have as much health and function in my life. And every time I kept thinking I was getting better, the protocols were getting stronger. And that gave me a little bit of room, but then I would get worse. And by the time I was diagnosed and treated with atlantal axle dislocation fixation, so I had neurosurgery to fuse my cranial-cervical junction, I was having episodes of apnea, paralysis, locking in, difficulties, where I couldn't move, speak, or swallow. And as much as I still live with a lot of symptoms, I've had a lot of improvements. The fact that I'm not having difficulty breathing, the fact that I can chew and swallow my food without choking, the fact that I'm not experiencing paralysis, I can go for a walk, and especially the fact that I'm not locking in, completely unable to control my body or communicate my needs. And I think it's so important that I talk about this, because when my symptoms were invisible, they were real. I was being strong. I was being brave, and I was being so disciplined, and I was minimizing so much of what I was going through. And it compels me to want to talk about this, because I'm like, all these other patients who didn't get to the point of, paralysis, difficulties with speech production like I was. I kind of take bigger, these outward things. You can still be struggling with basic function. You can be bedbound. You can be struggling to have any even sense of community, let alone work and have the ability to financially take care of yourself. But something that's been really tricky is finding ways to get ongoing care, finding ways to have experts and research about not just what is it like when somebody has that surgery based on that severity of the atlantal axillary dislocation, but what is it like when their body has been adapting for 14 years? What should their outcome look like? What should the protocols be? How do we work with supporting the incremental systems? I just really hope that people get help, and I really appreciate these initiatives getting the word out there.
You see how this gets really close to the skull and these get really close together?
Yeah.
So hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm meeting here with Dr.
Blaskowitz. We'll see in
Blaskowitz.
other views. Or if it was held too long, there's nerves that come right out of here. So these can be direct causal nerves of just headaches. This motion can be direct cause of headaches. So if someone juts forward, well, why do they do that?
My whole dental, so my whole life was devoted towards, neuroscience and dentistry, and the only thing that holds me back is this.